So what make a new dish because the nasi to them. Danish could yak doing it. Aginak when him a kana movie kama no. Well, has anything changed since the signing of the treaties? We've been dealing with assault on our nation, our social fabric, our way of life for generations and generations, and it continues. From the East Coast to the West Coast, flashpoints because of people that really don't understand treaty history, education. And it's sometimes you wonder about that because you would think in this day and age, and now that we are in such a great turmoil and untroubling times with the pandemic, we have to deal with situations such as what is happening with our brethren, the Mi'kmaq people. This building behind me represents a lot of social injustice, a lot of damage that was inflicted upon our indigenous people. Governments, such as the 1930 Natural Resources Transfer Act, for example. The attack on indigenous way of life, hunting, gathering. I got a phone call yesterday from a friend of mine, hunters from the neighboring reserve, that they're quite concerned about the harassment that they're getting through the guise of conservation. Our indigenous knowledge keepers, our hunters, for generations and generations have understood the laws of nature and are able to practice that. But we seem to be falling on deaf ears when it comes to governments and their lack of understanding of who we are as Anishnabe people. And that needs to change. We can't allow governments and people that don't have an inkling or an understanding of who we are, such as what has happened and what we witnessed on the East Coast. Settler communities taking privilege, their own privilege on how they understand the treaties and the lack of understanding of law. I mean, these are Supreme Court decisions, for God's sakes. I was reviewing decision 1968, Rufus Prince, and his challenge with the government and how it made its way to the Supreme Court, defending basic rights of livelihood for ourselves and as Indigenous people. So we have a lot of work to do. I mean, there is a lot of great people out there across Canada that support the Indigenous cause. We know they're learning, they're understanding to begin to learn what had happened to us. And we have a lot of work to do with our families internally to work towards a better tomorrow for the future of our people. On behalf of the Treaty 1 Nation, our 7 reserves here in Treaty 1, we are working towards to help strengthen the Indigenous economy. Because for too long, we have been fighting policies and legislation that have been working against the Indigenous economic agenda. So economic warfare has been right from the outset, from the signing of the treaties. They've been working towards the elimination of our way of life, our economic way of life, and here we are working towards repatriating our way of life, our culture because of social policies and legislation. Here we are strengthening our identity as Anishnabe people. Here we are working in partnership and defending the treaty. So a lot of people don't understand what that really means, defending the treaty. Our veterans that fought in the wars, World War I, World War II, Korea, they defended the treaty. They fought in service with Canada to protect the treaty, because if Canada falls, the treaties fall. And that's what we need to recognize, that we need to support the Mi'kmaq people and all our brothers and sisters across this nation, Canada. We need to work towards a better tomorrow. This really is uncalled for. The prejudice, the alienation of Indigenous people by way of the actions that we're witnessing. It's really disturbing, and we're witnessing some craziness down south in terms of what's happening, in terms of governments and how they operate. Systemic racism is real. It happens in almost every federal, department, government, provincial government department. We're fighting for education rights, treaty rights, housing rights, hunting rights. The list goes on. And it will continue to do so. And yet, to have a strong Indigenous nation and people, that actually benefits Canada. You would think it does. And here we are, being criticized for generation upon generation, being stereotyped to believe that we're somehow, some way subhuman, which is absolutely crock of, well, you know what I'm saying. Like, it's really disturbing what's happening in this country. So we'll continue working and supporting our people across this country. And Treaty One Nation, on behalf of the Treaty One people, we thank you. We hope that things will get better in this country. We don't know if the government will fall today. I haven't even heard that yet, but there's a lot of problems in this country. And racism is on the rise. There is no question in my mind. We witness it, we see it, and we need to stamp it out. We need to make sure that it goes we have to challenge it and make sure that any of these things that happen, they can't go unchallenged. It's really that important. Our lives depend on it, our children, our grandchildren. Gagit up just nagat, wa no gum, gagi niwa bidan, wa Anishnabe, kana oya, gagi bimad siya. Hadash ki can't have been. Wa gagi meaning go men mishomas nanak no konarak wa chipo semen ma Anishnabe mikanang. He can't have been wa after Anishin and bed. So nagat. So I just want to wish you all well as we continue to walk together in peace and friendship and harmony. We're doing our part to protect the treaties. What's Canada going to do? That's what we need to ask. Thank you.